go? What do we have to show for April? I don't know. But we got through it. And we'll get through May, and whatever comes, we'll manage, right? And we'll get through it. So hang in there. Keep going. Keep strong. And as we say, it said yesterday on May the 4th, keep strong in the Force. The Force is with you, and Jesus is with you, which is more important. But yeah, so if you're on here, be sure to chime in, say hello on the comments. Let me know that you are here. Let me know that anything that you need prayer for, or just say pray for me, and I'll be praying for you today for sure. And a couple things that I was thinking of this morning was love. I was thinking about love, of course. And it looks like kind of we are in a season. I've been thinking a lot about this and talking to a few people in properly social distance about May and what things look like moving forward, and how we're going to navigate kind of opening up as a country and wanting to do the right thing. But what is the right thing? I think that's a hard thing to know, right? Like we want to keep people safe, but we also want to make sure that people can live and people can have jobs and get back to work. And I don't think that we're really interested in the things that the media portrays of us, of like, I need a haircut. But the bigger thing, we need to keep people safe, but we need to get people working so that they can live. So I don't know the way forward, but I think it's going to be tough. I think it's we're going to have to kind of navigate that, and we're going to make mistakes. We're going to have successes, mistakes, just like anything else in life. And but in that time, I think we need to keep love at our core. And I kind of feel like that may be slipping away a little bit because we're quarantined. We're losing our minds a little bit, maybe. And we're stressed, but stressed in a new way, in a different sort of way. It's not like we have so many things going on, we're stressed. We have nothing going on, and we're stressed. Because I think we have this deep uncertainty in our hearts and our lives. And I think all this is new for us. So, hang in there and let's love. I've seen some interactions on, I was talking to one of my friends, and he was like, yeah, when this all started, everybody was super nice to each other, and everybody was driving really kindly on the roads, but now like people are fighting in stores about parking spots, and we're kind of, yeah. But I was reminded of this verse in Romans this morning, and it said this, Romans 12, it says, love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of lower position. Do not think you are superior, and do not repay evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. And if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge. I like that. That's a scripture I think we need to really keep in our hearts at this time, to remember that love is our goal. And we believe that if we love, then we can get through this together, that we can keep ourselves sane as well, like we can keep ourselves whole and true. And so, love. Let your love be sincere. What does that mean, love being sincere? I was reading this book. I've got this book that I've been reading a little bit. It's called the Motivation Manifesto, and it's 9 personal declarations for to claim your personal power. It's pretty good. But one of the things, not too long, kind of a shorter read, kind of an inspiration sort of book. But one of the things I really loved is this guy was talking about love And so I want to read you a little bit. This is story time with Jason this morning, coffee and a story. And so I just want to read you a little bit this morning of what he said, and I think it's good. It's talking about love. He says this: what this means is that we can have a divine intent for everyone we meet, whether or not they deserve it, have asked for it, or will reciprocate it. That's key, right? Like, oftentimes we love those people who will love us back. It's kind of how we operate in life. And if we know that if we give something to somebody and they're not going to give it back, they're not going to reciprocate, then we're like, oh no, I'm not going to love this person because they're not going to give it back to me. But the divine within us doesn't need that reciprocation. God doesn't need reciprocation. God just gives love, even though we don't give it back. So he says this: there can be an emanating love that comes from us, regardless of another's intent or behavior. We can release a magnificent spiritual power through our eyes and gestures towards everyone, while expecting no return whatsoever. We can unleash our love into the world for no other reason than because it is our nature to do so. Love, like any virtue, must be a conscious affair, willed forth, chosen from among all the angelic and wretched impulses available to any moment in the human condition. And so, to ascend to greatness and become generous with love, we must be aware of our own weakness and propensity for evil. By never forgetting that we can teeter into darkness, we can remember to look for the light. By remembering the dangers of cruelty, we must will ourselves to be compassionate and loving. I think oftentimes, right, we in life, like, life is hard, and we gather up all these hurts and pains along the way of our journey, and we begin to retreat in our love in some way. We begin to be cautious about spreading love, about giving love, about being vulnerable, about caring for someone who can hurt us back. And so we become kind of tightened up and tightened up and tightened up. And I think, like, what I see right now in our American society is that we are so divided against one another. And we know, like, if we talk about our opinions or our viewpoints to the person that we know doesn't agree with us, we're going to get in a fight immediately. And so what I'm seeing is that people seem to only show love to people who agree with them politically. So we show love to those people who we know are going to agree with us. Those people who don't agree with us, we are much less. We hold that love back for them, right? Because we may get in an argument. We may get in a fight. We may find ourselves divided in some way. And so we're careful. We close ourselves up. But is that what God desires? That seems like when we only love people that agree with us or see the world as we love, like, that's not real love. That's something else. I don't know what that is, but that's not real true. It's some form of love, but not love in its fullness. If we're pick and choose about who we will love, Scripture says, let your love be sincere. I think that's with everyone. Like, bless those who persecute you. Bless those who disagree with you. Bless those who aren't going to give love back to you. Bless them. Maybe that's what our society needs right now. Maybe our society needs, instead of us just kind of forming teams, that we have a group of people, us Christians, followers of Jesus, who are willing to reach over to the other team and say, I'm going to show y'all love. And we're going to focus on our common humanity. We're going to see the grace. Because you know what? Like, we know how we've been hurt in life. And they've been hurt too. And so they carry around the same insecurities. They carry around the same bruises, the same burdens, the same pains. They've been hurt in ways that we don't understand. They're carrying around grief as well, just as we're carrying around grief. And so I think there is this beauty, like true love. And I think that's what Jesus is pushing us to, is this love that reaches across boundaries and borders to love people who are different from us, who have different experiences from us, that see the world different from us, that believe things differently than us, that vote differently than us. Like, that is hard, but I think that's our calling. And that doesn't mean that we give up what we believe in or compromise what we believe in. We can still hold on to those things that we can believe in and hold true in life and stand for justice and mercy, but be willing to reach across. And then he goes on to say this. He says, to sense and amplify love, We do not need to love ourselves. Whoa. Wow. Like that, when I read that, I stood back and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what's this guy talking about? But let's keep reading. Though that will be our goal. This popular fantasy that we must first love ourselves before loving others serves no one, for it merely gives us permission to await a good day to love someone else. Should love be kept from anyone simply because of our own insecurities? To give love, we must allow it to flow through us, not attempt to own it or sense some false completeness or personal perfection before extending it. Love is perfect. We do not need to be. It is selfish and silly to believe we must love every aspect of who we are to appreciate and adore any aspect of someone else. Surely, it should be our aim to accept and love ourselves, but we can equally disdain any of our peculiar attitudes and behaviors that steal from our freedom, happiness, and connection with others. If we don't like something about ourselves, we can change it, but we don't need to wait to repair it before we fix the great light of love onto others. We shall not wait for the splendid, mythical, bright day when we are perfect and always bursting with happiness before allowing our own ray of divinity to shine through to others. Yes. I really like that. I think like in the last 10 years or so, I think our society is really focused on self-care, which is really, really good and in a great step. But I think we do have this propensity, right, to feel like, well, I need to love myself before I can love somebody else. No. Like, probably ourselves are the hardest people to love, right? And if we're waiting to love ourselves, we may never, ever love someone else. But I believe the way of Jesus teaches us, love your neighbor. And the more you love your neighbor, the more you extend out that love for other people, that you're going to love yourself more in that space. You're going to find yourself healed. You're going to find yourself unified. You're going to find yourself opened up to God's work in you and in the world. So let that love be extended to others. I think this for me was a really good reminder today of, in this time where we are unsure about the future, where we're dividing up, or we see protests in the street of people that we agree with or we don't agree with, where we see our politicians we agree with or we don't agree with, we are dividing up and we're like, well, we agree with this and we agree with this and we don't agree with you over there, and so we're going to withhold our love. But something I think that we may need to get to is this place of, yes, I disagree with you, but I love you. And I'm going to show kindness and generosity and care and grace to you. I'm not going to seek revenge on you. I'm going to be compassionate and loving, and I'm going to find a way to bless your day. I'm going to find a way to bless your life. I'm going to find a way to see the divine in you, to see the image of God birthed on you, because it's there. And I think, like, if we can get to that point of holding those two in balance, like, I don't agree with everything that you say or believe in, but I'm going to love you anyway. I think that's what our world needs. And I think that's the message in the way of Jesus. And I think if we love like that, then we will find ourselves healed. That we will find a lot of our problems and a lot of our divisions coming together and finding love and grace in those spaces and places. So today, that's a reminder to me that let's love others. Let's extend that love that we're called to love. We are people of love. Jesus said, here's the command I give, love one another, but also love the world. Love your neighbor. Love God. And in doing that, we will find a love for ourselves that springs forth that we've been looking for all along. And so, as Romans says again, let your love be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Who today can you honor above yourself? Never be lacking in zeal and passion for this love, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope. Today, be joyful in hope. Patient in affliction. We're there. Let us be patient and faithful in prayer. Praying for those that you love. Praying for those that you don't right now. Praying for those who you agree with. Praying for those who you don't agree with. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Who can you share with today? How can you today Who needs something that you have? Some resource, some blessing, some experience. How can you bless somebody today in your life? Practice hospitality. How can you open up your life today to let people in? Bless those who persecute you. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of a different position. Do not think yourself as superior. Today, may we embrace that sort of love. May we embrace that attitude to be joyful in hope, patient in affliction. Let our love be passionate to others. Let us open our lives to hospitality for those around us. And let us be the people that bind the wounds of the brokenhearted. Maybe those are people that we like. Maybe those are people who we don't like. But our calling is still the same. To bind the wounds of the brokenhearted. To bless, to give, to hold, to extend love to everyone. So, let that maybe be your meditation today. Who can you show love to today? And when you hear somebody on Facebook that you don't agree with, or social media that you don't agree with, or Twitter that you don't agree with, or you see somebody in the news that you don't agree with, like, okay, you can disagree with them. Like, I disagree with that position. But then think, how could I show that person love? If I encounter that person today or on social media, how could I give them a loving word, a loving gesture? How could I brighten their day in some way? Because, you know what? We all need that, don't we? We all need that. So may you go and may you love. May you open up your life. May you live in the way of Jesus. May you allow the divine radiance of God's love to flow through you to all people. Hang in there, y'all. Thanks for joining me today. If you need a prayer, be sure to put it down in there in the comments, and I will certainly be praying for you today. It's great to see you on here. Hang in there, and we'll get through this, and hopefully we'll be back together soon with those that we care about, and we can join in community once again. So until that time, may the Lord bless you and keep you, cause God's face to shine upon you, give you peace, and allow the love to radiate through you. Thanks for being here.